Story. Story. That's the key to the success of many things. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm an expert in many things. One of them is culture. And culture in a society or in a workplace is simply the story that's told that gets repeated. And once I learned that, I discovered the importance of topics such as accountability, ethics, and leadership, as well as organizational culture. There are two truisms about culture that are very important and will be the basis for today's Facebook Live. Because culture is a story, a culture gets repeated and people become part of the story. The first corollary is that a culture can be based upon a lie, a false story. If enough people believe it, it becomes the story. And I believe we're seeing that a lot in today's society and political climate. The second corollary, though, is the most important one, and that is the only way to replace a tired, worn out, or false story is with a new story. And I believe that we can solve many problems that we all see by adopting a new story. And that story is about feminism. I, Ron Rael, am a feminist. Now, before you get up in arms or get concerned or think that there's something wrong with me, allow me to share a different view of what a feminist is. I was watching a TED Talk this week, and Dolores Huerta gave a recent one, and she was talking about voter apathy and its effects. And she said in the webcast, or excuse me, in the TED Talk, a feminist is a person who stands up for women's rights. Makes sense. Immigrants' rights. LGBT rights. The labor movement and working families. And most important of all, the environment, Mother Nature. I've said this before and I stand by it. And this is my opinion. And that is, I believe women make better leaders than men in most situations. Well, let's take a look at our culture. We have Mother Nature. We have Goddess. And when those terms come to mind, when we think about them, it's usually someone who is benevolent, someone who is caring, somebody who is concerned about the global picture. On the other hand, many Western religions base their God on a male, a God of vengeance, a God of destruction. Which society do you want to live in? One of benevolence and kindness, or one of destruction and conflict? That's why I believe women make better leaders, because their style tends to be about bringing people together, working towards consensus, seeing the whole problem and coming up with global holistic solutions where everybody wins. There are no losers in it. And that's why I believe I'm a feminist. Only my actions will show. But I believe that we need to be concerned about the environment. We need to be concerned about people that don't have as much as we do. Here in the United States, the average person like me is the 1% of the world. We have so much. And so, as a person who cares, I try to become involved in those situations. I try to take stands. My challenge, though, and I'm going to be vulnerable for a second, is it's difficult to try to figure out what to take a stand or how to take a stand. I feel strongly about these issues, but do I go out and join a protest? Do I go out and commit violence? Do I just simply sign petitions? Of course, I can vote. I can write letters to the editor. I can post about them in social media. But of course, as a professional, I also have a reputation that I need to uphold. And the reputation meaning that I'm the safe one, meaning that I can't be too political or too extreme, because It could turn off people who I want to hire me or to listen to me, to buy my books, to buy my products. And that's the conundrum. However, I think we all face that. There are some of you out there who, of course, take your beliefs to the extreme. And I realize that that's your way of doing it, and I appreciate that. There's a cost to that. There's also many of you who probably stand by the sidelines and just don't take a position. And I honor that as well, and there's a cost to that. I believe that social media has become and will continue to be a platform for us to express our opinions. However, it's the way that we express our opinions. And that's what I'm doing with Facebook Live. Taking this opportunity for you to see me as a person, as an individual. Not as a professional speaker, not as the author or expert. No. Yes, that's who I am, but that's not what I'm trying to do in these Facebook Live. And that's why I chose the topic of the feminist. Again, when I heard Ms. Huerta's words that a feminist is a person who cares about those issues and is willing to stand up for them, that struck a nerve. It struck a nerve, first of all, because I am very concerned about those, and I believe in them. It also struck me because I also don't always stand up as I should. So in what venues? So here's a question for you, and I would love to get an answer. I'd love to get responses. When you feel you need to stand up, what does that mean? Do you stand up with your money and just make donations? Do you sign online petitions? And I get probably 10 of those a day. Or are you an activist? Do you actually go out and put your life and your reputation at risk? Or do you just pick and choose the ways that you do that? I realized as I was preparing mentally for this event that I need to do more. And I will discover ways of doing it, and I'll share those with you. I have, though, realized that in looking over all the books I've written over the years, in the articles I published, in the 59 and a half seconds, in almost everything I write, there's an element of feminism in it. Which is interesting because as I was growing up, as a young man, as a teenager, and a young adult, whenever I would encounter an alpha male, they saw the feminist in me, and they ridiculed. I was ridiculed. I was put down. I was not accepted, or I was even chastised and bullied because of the fact that I believe in the softer version of leadership. Again, the goddess or Mother Nature, than the, let's say, I won't mention any specific religions, but some religions here in the United States where God is vengeful. God judges. God tells you you are good or you are evil. That's not my belief. My belief is we're all good. We just have to figure out ways to find how we can show that we are good and what we're capable of. Again, I would love to know your opinion. Do you believe that you're a feminist? So let me circle back to the beginning, which is about the story. If we stop treating women as second-class citizens, if we hold them as capable, if we hold them as able, and get rid of our especially us men, our feelings about what women should be, and just let them be who they are very powerful. Some women recently have made tremendous strides in changing the culture, changing the story. There was again another TED Talk I heard on the way to work this morning about a woman who in Gaza Strip is taking the ash of the burnt homes and has made a construction material in which they're rebuilding homes and apartments. And she's found a way to make money at it, which she then pours into the community. As a result of that, she found ways of providing electricity to the homes and the people of Gaza Strip that don't have any electricity. That's the type of people that I'm referring to. It's irregardless if she's a woman. However, it's in her nature as a female that she's using feminism to solve a problem. And many people's lives have benefited as a result of that. If we adopt a more feminist way of leading, a more feminist attitude, a belief that everybody is good and that we need to take care of them, that there are no betters, there are no worses, there are basically just people trying to survive, trying to live, trying to have impact on the world. If we adopt that, that will be the key to many of the problems. So make a commitment with me to begin to develop a new story about what leadership is about what influence is, and more importantly, about what feminism is. I'd like to encourage you to look inside and see, are you a feminist? And discover your story. Thank you for your time.